Hello, I'm Richard McClain. I'm the Executive Director of Johnson City Housing Authority. The Johnson City Housing Authority, we provide housing for the low-income individuals here in the Johnson City area. We have 8 developments here located in town, spread across 99 acres, and we provide 750 units of public housing. We also have a food pantry service where we provide food to those that are low income. That we have many families that need additional food, and so we provide that on a monthly basis using volunteers from throughout the area, mostly provided through local church organizations that provide these volunteers to hand out the food. And so we provide a very nutritious box of food that to each of the families that request this, and we hand out several hundred boxes each month. There's a number of different services that we provide the residents of the Housing Authority. We have a number of elderly individuals that need health care, and we have a health clinic on site as well at one of our locations. We have daycare for families that have children that have needs for that as well. Some of the challenges that we see as far as serving the homeless individuals here, we have a number of homeless individuals here that are veterans that come through the VA system here to the James Quillen Mental Hospital, or Medical Hospital, I should say. And many homeless veterans come, and they come from different parts of the country. As this hospital locally here at Mountain Home is one of the leading providers of mental health services for PTSD patients. And so there's many people coming here from as far away as Washington State, Chicago, Arizona, California, New York, Florida. So we have many homeless veterans coming to us in our city here looking for services. And so, therefore, we have a large population of homeless veterans in Johnson City due to the medical services that are here. And so the VA provides a homeless service, and we're partnered with the VA in providing housing through the Housing Choice Voucher Program, which is provided through HUD's programs. And we provide 160 vouchers to homeless veterans here, which is a pretty high number of veterans that we serve in our area compared to other areas. These veterans typically may have previous issues with either criminal records, maybe assault or drug abuse. Some have mental health issues. Most of them all have had problems with employment. For years, we've seen a lot of veterans coming from the Vietnam era, and they were older. They would be, maybe they were in their 50s or 60s or 70 years of age type age. And now, in the last few years, these veterans are aging out, and most of them are closer to the 70s years of age. So we're seeing a new group of veterans coming in that are homeless, that are from the Middle Eastern wars that we've had with Afghanistan and Iraq. And so we're seeing some younger ones coming in their 20s or early 30s that are needing homeless services. So some of the challenges we see beyond the veterans and their needs are families. And one of the biggest challenges, I think, in our society today that we need to work collectively together in order to solve the hungerness that's here in our area, as well as the lack of employment challenges that we have. If you go out and get a job today, you'll make maybe minimum wage of $7.35 an hour. And the challenge with that is that there's really like a gap, I'll call it, in services. If you have no job, you can actually get more food and free housing and many things provided from the government with those when you have no income. As your income goes up, suddenly you'll see those services disappear. And so you're in a situation where you don't make enough money to provide for yourself yet all the services go away. So as you get closer to the $10 an hour range, working 40 hours a week, as a single individual, you might be making close to $20,000 a year gross income, but you have a tremendous number of costs that go along with that, and you would have to pay your rent, your deposits on rent, deposits on utilities. All those things are very expensive and hard to come by to get into a home or any kind of apartment or situation for living. So that tends to create a lot of homelessness when you have such barriers for entry into housing. Public housing provides a way for people to get in without all those deposits and high deposits. Our deposits are only 50% of 1 month's rent, and we provide all the utilities, so you don't have to go to the power board and to the water department and sign up for utilities and pay deposits with those organizations. It allows you to get in economically. And with the Housing Authority, we provide $50 a month rent, which includes your utilities, for those individuals that have no income. So it's very attractive to get people in and get them housed that have no place to go to come to public housing. But as your income goes up, your rent will go up to 30% of your income. So, for instance, if you're making minimum wage, then your income would go up, and then you might be paying $200 or $300 a month for rent. And suddenly your disposable income goes away, and then you have less money for food. And so this is kind of where the hunger kicks in. And a lot of people that are working, but they're like starving in our area because there's just not enough money to pay their bills. And in our area, our public transportation is limited. So if you get a job, say at Taco Bell, and you need to work the evening shift, well, there's really no bus service past 6 p.m. in our area. So you have no way to get to work, and you might get to work at 5 p.m., but you can't get back home at midnight because there's no bus unless you can walk. So it really limits the job opportunities that people can take here in this area, and it makes it very difficult to find employment and maintain that employment due to the challenges of transportation. Of course, the cost of having a car and buying gas and maintaining an insurance on that car is quite expensive, and that eats up a lot of your disposable income. So what we see today in our area is just a large number of people that are either not working because they've tried working and they've nearly starved to death while they were working because there's just no way to cover transportation and housing and food and clothing and everything is provide for their families on the low minimum wage. So one of the things I see in our society that we need to be looking at is, why is our minimum wage so low? Why is it that you can't live independently working at minimum wage? Why doesn't employers consider providing housing? Back in the turn of the century, a lot of the employers and factories here in our town provided housing for their workers. As people came from the farms out in the area and were drawn to the city for employment, they had no housing. So the factories provided housing for the employees here locally, and that was a great thing. I think we've gotten away from that now. So as I drive through McDonald's or go to the Walmart stores or the Target stores, I see public housing people working there, and I ask the question: why is the government providing housing to these workers at these places such as those, when in the past the factories provide the housing, and now the government's providing the housing for Walmart, so Walmart can have low cost of wages and not have any investment in health care services for their employees and things like that. So those are some of the concerns I think in our society that we need to stop and look at and go, is all this really working? Should these employers be stepping up and either providing more hourly pay for their employees? Should they be providing housing? Should they be providing better health care coverage at the same time? What about daycare services and other things? Some employers have provided that, but many don't. So as you look at the entire concept of hunger and housing, services that are required for whether you're elderly or you're young families, and they need daycare services so the parents can work. There's quite a few gaps, I think, in our society today that we need to come together and really bring those services together where people can put together a complete picture of a lifestyle in a community to where everything works and where they can actually be employed and still function and be rewarded for what they're doing, and not be left out here hunger and end up being homeless because they can't pay their rent on time or they can't feed their families. So there's just many challenges, I think, in our society today, and I would really like to see, as a city, we all would come together and work through some of these things and see what we can do to address these needs in our area. So thank you for your time.